neighborhood down there loves it. We have, it's about a mile, about a quarter of a mile from Eugene Street up to Lee Street through the part of the sports campus that Greensboro College has planned in that area. They gave us an easement through there. So we've installed a public art bench that the neighbors helped design in celebration of the Warnersville neighborhood there, and it is just lovely, and we have had just a great response from the community. We're planning on working towards the phase that continues down parallel to Lee Street through the new South Elm and Lee redevelopment area, and are also beginning the design work for the Greenway section that goes up Murrah Boulevard. And that really is one of the longest sections of the Greenway, and it will take essentially a lane out of Murrah Boulevard and go all the way up and around to Green Street, if you can picture that part of the loop around downtown.
Okay.
So we'll be done with the southern phase, phase one, and that second phase in about 3 years.
Is this going to be strictly a walking area, or is it going to be vehicular, bicycles?
Well, nothing motorized,
Right.
so you'll need to leave your motor scooter at home,
Okay.
but it's a 12-foot wide asphalt path, and so it's for walkers and cyclists and wheelchair accessible. We've had a lot of folks comment on the fact that they're already using it with wheelchairs, and we're just, of course, thrilled about that. Strollers, rollerbladers, all that kind of thing. And so the most interesting thing I think about the Greenway is that it already is beginning to show the connections that we want to accomplish. As you probably know, we already have 80 miles of trails here in Greensboro. So it is building on the strength we already have. Even this first section connects with a trail called the Southeastern Connector Trail. So it heads down into the southeastern part of our city. And eventually the Greenway will connect on all sides with all of our existing trails, and you'll be able to go from one side of Greensboro to the other. And then really, it's quite phenomenal. It connects to the trail that goes to High Point and eventually goes to Winston-Salem, and it's also part of the greater Mountains to Sea Trail that goes all the way from the mountains of North Carolina to the ocean. So we have big plans for a big connection there, but it's a thrilling project and we're very excited about it.
I wanted to ask you, not to put you on the spot, but with the need for jobs and the other needs that you've outlined, what was the impetus behind a trail like this, the Greenway? What was the idea that this would be a good thing to do?
Yeah, we get that question a lot.
Yeah.
And one important thing we've learned is that part of what makes jobs happen is creating the city and the community that makes people want to live here. If you owned a business and you lived in Ohio somewhere and you were thinking about Greensboro, it is a very personal decision. Not only do you need to move your company here, but all your employees and yourself, your family. So those things that create an excellent community for new businesses to locate and for our existing citizens to thrive in is really the program of work that we focus on. So things like the Center City Park and the baseball stadium might not directly create jobs, but we think we're creating the environment that creates strong economic development. I will say, however, greenways themselves are an impetus for development. We've seen all across the country parcels along the greenways tend to really attract residential development, especially in urban areas. If you think about living in an urban environment, you don't have a backyard and a place to walk your dog. The greenway or the park system is an excellent infrastructure to attract residential development. It creates that backyard for anybody who wants to live downtown. So we think it's very important to attract additional development into Center City. Residential development lifts up retail, and it in turn lifts up all the other types of occupations that hinge on that. So that we think is very important. And then, in addition to that, we need to think about what we're doing to help our colleges and universities. And the Greenway connects, we counted 26,000 college students. So we have A&T and Bennett College and Greensboro College and UNCG that have a direct connection to the Greenway. So a student could hop on their bike if there were, for example, a central teaching facility for one of the universities or a couple of the universities or colleges. Students could very easily use their feet and bikes for transportation to that. Mm-hmm. And then the social end of what they do. So it helps strengthen our universities and just our whole quality of living that we have here.
Yeah, very interesting. Before we move on to another aspect of Phase 2, any other plans for the downtown development phase of this, other than the Greenway?
Well, one important thing that we're working on now is a set of design guidelines for downtown. It's called the Downtown Design and Compatibility Manual and Overlay District, which is a very long name, but it is something that Greensboro is almost unique in not having. Most successful cities have a set of guidelines and standards for new development in downtown. And the reason for those is to make sure we maintain a pedestrian environment. As you know, one of the greatest things about working downtown and living downtown is the fact that it is a pedestrian orientation. You walk from one destination to another, you come down for the theater, you go to a restaurant, you go home, you go to the coffee shop. It is the environment that makes it feel safe, it makes it feel welcoming, and it makes it feel alive. Now, if we have development, for example, that is surrounded by surface parking or does not have landscaping or is uninviting in some way, we are not contributing to that pedestrian environment. So design guidelines make sure that when new development comes in, it's, for example, close to the street without a lot of surface parking. It's the correct scale in relationship to other buildings. We're using quality materials. We're remembering that street trees are very important, those types of things. So there was a citizens group that we helped with and worked with City and Downtown Greensboro to develop a set of guidelines for downtown, and we're working through the process now. It's very, very important that we pay attention to the quality of development here, not only for new development and the pedestrian experience, but to protect the investment of those who have already built down here. So we look to take that to City Council in the next couple of months. It's a very important initiative. Then, you know, it's one of those sort of behind the scenes things that we're working on, but it was a direct result of our master plan for downtown and the recent comprehensive plan. Both of those plans suggested that the next step were some standards for our downtown.
Sounds exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about your work with education. I know you're doing an awful lot of work with the universities, but also the public schools.
We are. Public schools are very important for business recruitment and just our general quality of life. So they are really primary in our program of work. The public schools, as you know, just got a new superintendent recently, Mo Green. Have you had him as a guest?
Yeah, we have had
yet?
him on the program. Yes, we have.
He's terrific.
Yes.
And he finished in January a strategic plan for the public schools. And we were very anxious to see what he needed help with because we were at the ready to help him. We have for many years had a program called Businesses for Excellence in Education, which was a group of local companies that pooled resources to help the superintendent in whatever needs. Prior to Mo, it was Terry Greer. So Terry would come to the group and say, here's what I'm thinking. And it was all about excellence, promoting excellence and ensuring that our students are striving for excellence. So we have done things like the Celebration of Excellence, where high achieving schools come together and get awards for attainment. And then we have an academic all-star camp for high achieving students in the summer for them to work on SAT skills and study skills. We are working with Mo now on a couple of new programs that one in particular I think is terrific. It's called Cool to Be Smart. And the school system has done it for the past couple of years. It includes, it's essentially centered around the AP program, the Advanced Placement Program. Right. So students who are involved in the AP program at the end, and I'm not sure how this works exactly, but there's a chance to win a car at the end. So there's a big celebration and the students come together and try keys and they get a car. The other part of that program is though helping students pay for the AP exam. And with the budget cuts this year, it's been very difficult for the system to be able to absorb that cost. So the superintendent came to our group and said, if there's one really big need I have right now is help with Cool to Be Smart and to help students pay for the cost of an AP exam. So if we think about a student maybe taking 4 or 5 AP courses at $80 each, it can really be a burden for families, but the test is so important at the end because it really signifies that you've accomplished and studied all that you needed to do in that program of work. So we're helping the school system with that, and we think it's very important. And again, promoting excellence in the schools.
Now, does Action Greensboro do any funding in and of itself, or the foundations that support you, do they actually provide funding for some of the things you do, or you provide the ideas and it's up to them to get the funding?
We have sort of a combination of the two. We have, of course, our operations and overhead, just like any organization,
Right.
and then a number of projects that we're working on at one time. So we might, for one particular project, there might be a foundation or two that it is their particular area they're interested in. So Businesses for Excellence in Education could get additional funding from, say, the Joseph M. Bryan Foundation, who is in particular interested about educational issues. And it varies from project to project. Then the foundations themselves, on their own, outside of Action Greensboro, fund lots of projects that are similar to or different from the projects that we do within our organization. So it's all good.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it really is. People want to know more about Action Greensboro. What do they need to do?
Well, they could call our office, and that number is 336-379-0821. We are always open for visitors at 317 South Elm Street, and would love to talk to folks that way. Or our website is actiongreensboro.org.
Okay, and I think we've had all that information. We've had some graphics on the screen during the program that give that. Unfortunately, we're going to have to stop. We have talked about a lot of things, and yet we've just scratched the surface because there's so much going on in Action Greensboro. We will definitely have to have you back, and we'll pick up on Phase 2 and some of the other things that we didn't get to on this program. But April Harris, the Executive Director of Action Greensboro, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Great. And thank you for watching.